Hey everybody, welcome back to Echo Base. This is the first episode of 2021. It just feels weird saying that, doesn't it?
No, what feels weird is that nothing's different yet.
Well, it wasn't going to magically.
So new rules going into this year, just so everybody knows. You have to stay 6 feet away from each other. You have to wear a mask everywhere you go. If you get on social media on the internet, you have to scream and yell at everybody, even if you don't know what you're screaming and yelling about. You just have to pick something at random and yell and scream about it. So that's the new plan for going into this year.
Oh,
write it down if you need to. I know it's only 3 things, but...
And you need to listen all the way to the end so that you know what we're going to be screaming and yelling about for this week.
Yes.
So that's like the prize at the bottom of the cereal box.
Oh boy. Well, let's see. What do we got for this week? We have we have some confirmation of some stuff we got during the I guess it was after
kind
the call from
since
Disney, right?
we last spoke sort of update. Yeah.
Boba Fett, the Book of Boba, is confirmed to be its own series.
Yes.
Now they haven't confirmed if it's a limited series or ongoing.
No.
Either way, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Was the original rumor that it was going to be a limited series? I can't recall.
The rumor was.
Yeah, I think so.
By the way, I want to throw this out there. We won't get into spoilers, but maybe later when we get back to the Outer Rim, because we have a lot of stuff to discuss in the Outer Rim as well. The same sources from which I got a lot of the stuff about the Boba Fett thing long before it happened. And these aren't like my personal sources or anything. Trust me, I'm nobody important. But a lot of the stuff that got announced at the investors call, the fact that Boba Fett didn't get announced, and I'm like, yeah, guys, no, I still think it's coming, and it did.
Mm-hmm.
I have some news, and it will make many a person very happy. And I don't know exactly in what form it's going to take yet, but so if these sources are properly vetted the way they appear to be, I have some pseudo confirmation of a very cool upcoming character, and we'll leave it at that. For more information, you're going to have to wait for the next episode of the Outer Rim.
You're the next person to be doing the voice for C-3PO.
This guy right here. Bye, Anthony Daniels. You had a good run. No, I would never do that. As much as I'm not a fan of C-3PO, I have too much respect for Anthony Daniels and all of the fans to ever actually do that. Also,
you do have that polished stage actor presence, though. So I think at least there's that. If Lucasfilm is in fact looking to replace.
I cannot do a British accent though to save my life. That is my British accent would sound so much like a really, really bad Dick Van Dyke in the original Mary Poppins, but like take that and a billion times worse. Like it would.
That's the fun of it, because C-3PO just suddenly pops up sounding like you, and there's no explanation. There's no heads up. That is what it is. And everybody at Lucasfilm and Disney is like, well, I don't know what you guys are. This is how he sounds.
Right. That would be a great strategy, right? Disney goes and they release a new episode of, I don't know, whatever. And they do that. And then they get on social media and say, okay, guys, listen up. Either get your crap together and stop whining about every single little thing we do, or this is the kind of crap you're going to get from now on.
You have to listen to
Boom.
Eric from now on.
The internet is fixed. The internet is fixed. Lucasfilm, if you're listening, there you go. Problem solved.
You're welcome.
I just solved the internet. It's like, day 4 of 2021, and we're already on a roll. That's great. That's great. Since we're kind of already, since I hijacked things, I'm sorry to plug the Outer Rim. Lou, if we could do the network announcements now, since we're kind of already talking about that kind of stuff, and then we'll jump into the since we last spoke stuff. We are going to be doing some short form videos for the YouTube channel. These may or may not also come out in audio. We've always said that our audio shows that we're bringing over to video, we're going to continue doing those in audio. Those aren't going anywhere, so don't worry. Now, we may be doing some additional stuff that's just video only. I'm going to be starting a solo, and I might have some of you guys on as like guests and stuff, but a kind of a solo thing that I'm actually going to start recording. I think the first one tomorrow. We'll try it out. So that's something coming new. Separately from that, Tim, you've got some stuff coming soon, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got MCU TV starting up pretty shortly.
Awesome.
This is going to be our kind of our version of what we've turned the Outer Rim into, which is doing reaction episodes to the MCU stuff, which is on Disney Plus. And really, our first episode in earnest was going to be WandaVision, the premiere of WandaVision. But we have the Marvel Studios Legends series, which is starting on January 8th. And they're actually airing the first 2 episodes back to back for that.
Now, what is
and those 2 episodes are those 2 episodes are going to be Wanda Maximoff and Vision, and they are Marvel Studios Legends is basically a kind of like a profile of these characters.
Okay.
And for folks who have been listening to Guardians of the MCU, we've actually been doing a lot of profiles of not necessarily the main characters, but kind of some secondary characters or characters that we find ourselves talking about a lot that, hey, maybe there's some speculation that they're going to be in this movie or this series or something like that. Like, you know, when they said that Kang was going to be the villain for Ant-Man 3. You know, so we did a profile on Kang and kind of talked about his background vis-a-vis the comic books, which is really where the majority of the source material is on these entities. Now, Marvel Studios hasn't said exactly how they're going to be doing these in Marvel Studios Legends, if they're only going to be using MCU source material, or they are going to kind of say, well, hey, here's what happened with these characters in the comics. We don't know yet. We will be finding out on January 8th. So we're going to actually kind of move our schedule up a little bit, and we're going to do our first episode of MCU TV on Marvel Studios Legends.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. John, I hear you have a new project.
Not John. That's Tom.
I'm sorry. I had an email up from John from our other podcast some moment ago. It's been a long year. Let me tell you.
You know, they rhyme.
So Tom, tell us about this new project. Now, this is not a Random Chatter project.
No, it's not.
But it's still Random Chatter's Tom. So, you know.
That's right. And you guys have not cut my mic yet, so I guess I'm allowed to talk about it. I am John now, by the way. I guess that's now canon in the Random.
Well, head canon at least, you know.
It's been changed.
It's Legends.
C-3PO's voice.
Yeah.
No, so it's a new podcast venture called the Joint Geeks of Staff. And it grew out of a program that I got involved with. It started as a symposium at the Naval Academy down in Annapolis called NavyCon. And we've done 2 virtual events since that original one, which was in late 2018. We did one back in June that you can see on YouTube, and then another in November, which is also on YouTube through the United States Naval Academy Museum's YouTube page. But it's the group of folks that were at the core of those presentations are all national security professionals. So, for example, Foreign Service officer, we've got an F-15 Strike Eagle weapons system officer. We've got professors from the Naval Academy and from the United States Military Academy, West Point. Somehow I snuck on board. And we said, you know, the symposiums, these like mini cons, because that's exactly what they are, just a series of small bite-sized presentations about all sorts of science fiction fandoms and their intersection with real world warfare. That's a tongue twister.
It is.
And we said this would be the kind of thing that we think people would be looking forward to listening to on a regular basis as opposed to once or twice a year. So the few of us got together, we put together this podcast. It just launched, and I would say at the core of it is something called FICINT, F-I-C-I-N-T, and what that is using science fiction to learn about what the future of warfare may look like, and that extends out to diplomacy and all sorts of topics that are right in front of all of us as we watch movies like Star Wars and really have been for the entirety of these franchises. Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, I mean, you name it, and we're going to cover it. The first 2 episodes went live. The first episode sort of an introduction, get to know all the rotating slate of hosts. But the first meat episode, if you will, is about the Mandalorian, and we take a deep dive into some diplomatic topics. Basically, we kind of piece apart the Galactic Empire, the New Republic, where they sit as the Mandalorian starts and winds into second season, the sort of challenges that the New Republic faces in terms of its legitimacy and authority to govern. Some like really fascinating topics from some very, very fascinating people that, my measure for a podcast is always, would I sit and listen to it myself if I only had, 45 minutes?
And yet somehow you're on Echo Base anyway, Outer Rim.
Listening to me is like listening to Salacious Crumb if he could talk and you could understand him. But, the rest of the people are all good folks, to include you three. So it's out there. You can follow it on Twitter at The Joint Geeks, and it's sort of like the Joint Chiefs of Staff, except a lot more nerdier and a lot less paid. So
the Joint Geeks.
And hit me up on Twitter if you need help and direction finding it, because we just launched.
Awesome.
Thanks.
That's great.
Cool.
And Lou, finally, the last one with new projects. What are you working on?
And nothing I can announce.
You're working on something, right, Lou? It's a new year, clean slate. You got.
I am actually.
We assigned things for everybody. You better be doing something.
No. Yeah, Carrie and I are working on something.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about it yet. Oh yeah. It's going to involve some alcohol, but we're working on something.
Well, I tell you, that's not surprising. You're not ready to announce anything yet, though, are you? Okay.
No, well, I can. We're working on doing something with, we've each picked up a couple books on different cocktails across different fandoms and different franchises, and we're going to be doing a taste testing podcast talking about the drinks and podcasting and fandom in general.
So not just one where the hosts are drunk, but where the whole point is for the hosts to get drunk.
No, it's to taste things and talk about them, and yes.
And like in the context of the fandoms that they come from, right?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So there's a spin of. Okay, so we're talking drinks from Batu, drinks from.
Exactly.
Star Trek.
To start things off. I
DS9.
I have some material
now for Battlestar Galactica. Are you going to do the moonshine thing? The moonshine that Colonel Ty did in his quarters in Battlestar Galactica, and then
we could. Yeah,
that they did down on the deck. Too. You got to do your own little moonshine thing there, Lou.
Yeah, I'd have to, Chief Tyrrell had to show me how to do it right. So you can go blind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Colonel Ty had
halfway through the episode.
Had leftover. Yeah, it was Tyrrell that had the still.
Yeah, he's like, you guys doing this all wrong. Let me show you how to do this.
All right. Well, that's it for the network announcements for now. Some of those things are coming really fast, like the MCU television. Like I said, I'll have some test videos up for the YouTube shorts here pretty soon. Tom, when is your stuff going live? Is it up already?
Yeah, the first 2 episodes went live on New Year's Day, so you can find them, and they should be published, if not today, then in the next couple of days to iTunes and all the places, usual suspects in terms of platforms.
All right. And then Lou, you guys are still kind of in that development, getting the ball rolling stage. That should be coming pretty soon, right?
Yeah, we got to get Carrie a little bit more technology for doing some video stuff, but we're going to work on this. We're planning to do a video show.
Good luck. Tell you what, when Carrie gets good with the video stuff, let me know, because I'm dumping all this stuff on her. Man, I'm not a fan of doing video. Oh, wow. I still got to get with you with some lighting stuff, Lou, because I look like I'm in a cave here. Anyhow, so the Book of Boba Fett, like you said, Lou, is definitely it's a thing. It's separate from Mando season 3. It's going to be entering production first. Then we're going to get Mando season 3. People are inferring that Boba Fett will air first and then Mando season 3. A lot of the air dates for next Christmas are weird because there have been different things that say that.
I heard that Mando season 3 is being pushed back a little bit too. I haven't seen any confirmation of that, but
yeah, you know what? It's a year away. Let's just, after 2020, let's see how far we can get into 2021 before we have to dive back into the trenches again and cover our heads. So we got a ways to go.
Yeah, I mean, there was 3 series scheduled for release in December, wasn't there? There was Mando season 3, there was Book of Boba, and something
and either
else.
the Ahsoka or Rangers of the New Republic, one of the two. They weren't specific.
Rangers, yeah, one of those two.
Yeah.
Outer Rim episodes are about to become 4 hours long apiece.
Hey, it's our 4th episode this week, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, well, and plus there are other things we got to cover on Outer Rim too. So,
True.
Exactly.
There's one other thing though, regarding the kind of the catching up from like what people have been talking about Star Wars content since we last talked. And the main thing is, and we're going to talk a little bit about this other non-Star Wars movie, probably on Random Chatter, because I don't think we're going to be able to get away from it. And then we're going to be covering it specifically on Movie Chatter this Tuesday night. And that is Wonder Woman 84 came out on Christmas Day, written and directed by Patty Jenkins. Some people thought it was great. Some people thought it was crap. Some people thought it was crap, but enjoyed it anyway. And the point is, this is both written and directed by Patty Jenkins. The people who did not like it, of which there appear to be many, like the entire internet minus 12 people, have some concerns about Rogue Squadron, which is also going to be written and directed by Patty Jenkins. Now, Pedro Pascal, apparently, who played the villain in the Wonder Woman movie, said that Patty told him what the story was for Rogue Squadron, and he thought it was absolutely amazing. But even that still, getting that concept, that elevator pitch, and then getting it on page and in a script and on the screen. You guys have any concerns? First of all, just without getting into the review, because we'll do that on Random Chatter, and Lou, you and I on Movie Chatter, in a sentence or less, your thoughts on Wonder Woman 84, and then, like, does it give you concern, or was that just, maybe that's not her thing and Rogue Squadron will be?
I for one, that was my first thought after I got done watching Wonder Woman 84 was that, oh, good Lord, she's doing
oh crap,
the movie that we all really wanted to see. And I don't think, it's hard to point the blame because I don't know what direction she had. I don't know what interference she had with the writing of the script. Who knows? She did a good job with other things she's directed. And no, she did Monster, which she wrote, but that wasn't like it was a fiction piece. That was based off real life. So again, I'm not sure her writing skills. I don't really have anything to judge it on. This could have been just
And Warner Brothers,
a bad story.
I haven't heard anything about Wonder Woman specifically, but Warner Brothers has been over the years notorious for studio interference, whether it be films or television. I think especially television, but this is something they built a reputation for. Whether that affected Wonder Woman or not, I don't know. I'm trying to do the glass half full thing here. I'm trying to hit 2021 with a positive note.
Yeah, I'm not concerned.
Okay.
She's got a lot of time. If this were a rush project that were due for release, beginning of 2022 or something like that, maybe. But she's built up cred in my book, as far as I'm concerned. There are probably multiple reasons why 84 ended up the way it did. For what it's worth, I enjoyed it as a good popcorn movie.
I did too.
If I had gone to the theater, paid my money, sat there, downed a bucket of popcorn and a drink, I'd have been fine walking out.
Yeah.
And I think they have shown. I look at this in two ways. They've shown no hesitancy to bring in folks if they feel that a script needs punching up. If that's sort of the deficiency, look at Rogue One.
They being Lucasfilm.
We have this. Yeah. They being Lucasfilm, bring in folks that can help work collaboratively. It's not to take creativity or the reins away from somebody, but the everybody's rowing in the same direction to get a good movie out. I also look at it, and so I have no doubt that if that's the case, they'll do what they need to do to churn out a good movie. This is also a passion project for her. Her dad died in a cockpit in a NATO training exercise. I don't think she's going to come at this one completely detached and risk messing it up. On the other side, I look at what has happened and sort of the hindsight that's given to some other directorial changes in the wake of bad movies. Look at Colin Trevorrow. Everybody was on board, sort of, fandom wise, I guess, when he got the axe, more or less. And then after Rise of Skywalker comes
everybody wanted it back.
And then his story starts to come out, and whatever is, I'm just giving it a grain of truth there, that the rumors were true, and then everybody's like, why was he fired? Why, after one bad movie, so to speak, why was he fired? And I fear that if there's a knee-jerk reaction because of a tepid response to a single movie that she's done, between now and whenever Rogue One or Rogue Squadron would have been released, we see other movies by her and we're like, gee, I wish she was still in the chair.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to, Carrie pointed out something in the chat room here. I was actually wrong. It was Chris Pine that I was thinking of. It wasn't Pedro Pascal, who she had talked to about Rogue Squadron. But yeah, and the other thing too, I know that one of the things in Wonder Woman 84, she tailored the character more toward, because this was done, I guess it was written prior to the whole Justice League stuff and editing and changes and stuff. So she had patterned this character around where things were supposed to have been going with Zack Snyder's Justice League cut or something. So there's a little bit of a backstory there too, but I'm with you. I think it was a good popcorn flick. It breaks down, I think, on analysis, which we'll get to in movie chatter too. But Tim, does this? I know you and Robin did not seem to be very much fans of Wonder Woman 84, as most people seem to not be. But what's your thoughts on it? And then concerns? Yes, no. Rogue Squadron? Okay, not okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Absent getting into any kind of detailed review on it, I think my wife can pretty much speak for me when you guys.
I'm not looking forward
to
of
it with
Tuesday, Lou. I might call out sick that day. I don't know. We'll see.
What I will say, first of all, the directing on the movie was fantastic, and Patty Jenkins is an incredible.
She really
director.
is.
So that I'll put out there, and I just. I don't know that anyone necessarily can challenge that. As a writer, I don't know that I really have necessarily any concern regarding Rogue Squadron. I think initially I kind of did, but then I realized, which I think, Lou, you said it, that, what, sometimes people, they're not hitting a home run every single time they're out.
That's true.
You can be a great writer.
Right.
And you're going to write 10 things, and still one or two of those may not be regarded that well.
Right.
So, it could have been how it was written. It could have been how it was edited. I mean, maybe, she wrote a really good, cohesive story that the editing just kind of chopped it up and gave a bunch of plot holes because they took chunks out of it or moved things around, whatever. So, I'm not necessarily concerned. And I do think that, well, obviously she has a lot of passion for Wonder Woman. So I'm not saying that she would take a Star Wars property more seriously, but I'm pretty sure that writers and directors and that kind of stuff who are going to venture into a Star Wars property are aware of, unfortunately, how critical a lot of Star Wars fans are. And so, I think that that's an aspect of it that they got to walk into the room knowing that. And I also think that while she may be getting the writing credit, just like any other writer, has nothing to do with who she is, where she comes from, what gender she is, none of that stuff. When it comes to writing something in a universe that is that complex, I think a lot of times it requires a team of writers, and whether they are credited or not, they're getting input from a lot of different people. And I think that Lucasfilm is going to support that. And I think that they are dedicated to supporting a lot of that. I think that for as much as, Jon Favreau is a huge fan of Star Wars, I think that he certainly had, obviously he had Dave Filoni to turn to, but there were probably even some other people at Lucasfilm who were supporting that whole writing effort to make sure that, yes, there is continuity and things are going in accordance with canon. And, even if it's an era that has less impact on canon, someone can still take deviations that could conflict with something else that's out there. So I think that there is still help. I don't know that that help necessarily exists in DC films, because there really just isn't a lot of consistency. There aren't a lot of people who have been behind the camera with DC properties for a long time consistently to really provide a lot of that advice. And it's not a knock to DC. It's just that, you know, I think people just simply know their history, and they do things for a little while, and then things kind of drop. You know, we see a Batman series, then Batman kind of goes away for a little while, then we see them come back, and the same thing with Superman and all that.
Batman never goes away. He's always there. He's lurking in the background.
It's simply been the ebb and the flow of their properties.
Yeah,
that's all. So they just really haven't had anyone there consistently.
And I think that's another important thing too. I think Lucasfilm, you know, for all the mistakes they've made after the Disney acquisition, they are listening. Everybody I know who knows any employee within Lucasfilm, the one thing I keep hearing over and over and over again is they're aware of what people are saying. They're aware of the feedback, and it is not falling on deaf ears. It matters to them. Now, the changes they make, there are still going to be people who aren't going to like it, and the internet's still going to blow up. That's the internet. But I really believe, and I feel like there's already been some evidence of this, that they learned their lesson with the Solo movie about lack of oversight. I really think that going forward, whereas Warner Brothers has been a little bit more lenient with letting directors have some creative license with different things. I mean, for example, if you look at Joker and how that doesn't tie into anything else, I really think that with Rogue Squadron, Lucasfilm is going to be involved enough that it's not necessarily going to tie Patty's hands creatively. But I do think that if there is some sort of a quality control issue, somebody will step in and say something and do something. And I know a lot of people out there are going to say, yeah, but episode 9, they're working on it.
I will say in defense of Joker, I don't think Joker.
That wasn't a dig on Joker.
Necessarily intended to.
No. It wasn't. But
Joker
that's my point.
Was intended to be a dramatic standalone thing.
But in doing so, they said, "Hey, go out and make this thing yours." Yeah.
Right.
No, that wasn't a dig on it. But Lucasfilm will not do that.
Pushing back because people are like, "Well, hey, why didn't this seem to connect?" And it was never intended to.
Right.
Yeah. I mean. The only issue I hated with Solo is that there wasn't enough mud troopers. That's all.
That's a very.
The only problem I had with Solo is there wasn't enough Kira, but
there's something to be said that this is not a trilogy movie. While this movie may launch some sort of line of films,
I hope so.
I view this much more in the vein of a Rogue One. It's a story about warfare and the folks who fight it. Regardless of how much they pull from the Legends series, I think with that sort of focus, it allows you creatively to sort of direct your vision a little bit more. They're going to be in the known sandbox of the Galactic Civil War, presumably, unless they set this in the New Republic era. And I think with that, you don't have the sort of yoke that is the Skywalker saga or these sort of like grand spanning films with all these expectations and weights. People are going to go into this like they went into Rogue One. They're going to expect a fun, like high flying movie. And I think, Patty, and this goes to Tim's point, but for a director to agree in this day and age in 2020, 2021 to do a Star Wars movie, that takes a lot of confidence. That's somebody that has confidence in their craft and somebody who really wants to direct Star Wars. I guarantee you, I have no authority and no inside knowledge. I guarantee you there are notable directors, notable creators who have turned down the chance to do Star Wars projects because of the fandom expectations and how things have unwound, how other creators have been treated. We'll never know who that is or who passed up on a chance. But I think it's significant that somebody like Patty agrees to do a project like this. And, I have confidence in just that alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think those are all valid points, and I hope that we are in good hands. We'll have to wait and see. No doubt about it. Oh, so let's get on to the news.
Not a lot of it.
No, we're gonna start with the sad stuff first. Who put these show on sensed order? Tim.
No, Eric.
Who did what now?
I contributed.
I always default to blaming Tim.
What did I do?
No, I contributed, but Eric did.
I did what? What?
The show
Yeah.
notes.
The order.
Oh, the order
stuff. So I was just starting with a little bit of a down issue here.
So it's listen, it's a downer, but it's also kind of not. And I did kind of want, it's a 2020 thing. We just didn't know it was a 2020 thing. So I wanted to get that out of the way and then move into the 2021 stuff, right?
Yeah,
so, Tom.
Yep, exactly. So this happened a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's the thing. We didn't hear about it.
Right. It's brand new for us to know about. But a couple months ago, Tom Kane, who we all know is voice of Yoda for the Clone Wars, he's done the Butler and Archer. I don't watch Archer.
Oh, Lou.
Mm-hmm.
I know you guys said it before, but I haven't.
Yeah.
Big character in Archer, or
yeah, for several seasons.
Okay.
Yeah, in the first few seasons, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, and didn't he do the announcements at the beginning of Clone Wars?
Yep.
The kind of
That's
the war reel propaganda film sort of thing.
Yeah, that was him too.
Yeah.
Propaganda stuff.
Chaos in the outer
Chaos in the outer. Yeah. I mean, that was him.
And those are great. Those are great. Well, sadly, we're going to report that he suffered a stroke.
Yes.
And right now he's recovering. He doesn't have any language skills. He can't read or write
very
right
little.
now. Yeah, I think it was said left side of his brain had the stroke, so right side of his body is kind of.
I heard left
suffering.
side, but it's always the opposite side of your body from the brain, so I didn't hear which. It was left brain or left side.
I'm going back to what I was reading before.
Yeah,
but interesting. So, unfortunately, that means his work for Star Wars and voice acting stuff has been kind of put on hold. But we wish him the best, and hopefully he will.
But
be recovering.
he's alive.
Yes.
Dang it! Take
He's
that,
alive.
2020.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
You didn't take that one from us. We're happy.
He's such a nice guy. I hope
I've
he
never
has a
got to
full
meet him.
recovery and can
Me
get
too.
back to work.
Yeah.
People say he's really nice. I haven't actually got. I'm hoping he at least recovers enough that maybe he can do conventions and things like that. I'd like to get to meet him. I mean, he kind of does what we do, right? Vocal, audio stuff, and that would be. And Matthew Woods, the other one I've never met, that kind of does what we do.
Better than we do.
Much better. Well, it wouldn't take much. I mean,
Let's just be clear.
Yeah,
When you say
no.
he does like what we do. No,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
nothing like we do.
Yeah, that's like saying Babe Ruth. I go out and play catch with my son in the yard, so it's like we do the same thing. Yeah.
Just like Babe Ruth. Yeah.
No, but he's still with us, and
He's still with us. He made
so
it through 2020.
that's something.
Exactly.
So,
So on a high note, going into 2021.
hold on, I got to set an alarm
for
12 p.m. tomorrow. What happens at 12 p.m. tomorrow, Lou?
He likes to jump ahead, doesn't he?
I do. Sorry, I'm anxious.
So we have
That was Eric's attempt at a segue.
It was a bad one.
It was, yeah. Now we've been waiting for this, and no, they announced this at what was it? New York Comic Con 2019.
Yep.
They announced what do they call it? The first. It wasn't the higher. What do they call it? The
Project
Project
Luminous. Yes, I was going to say Illuminati.
Yeah,
Nope, that's the
That
wrong
was
franchise.
Yep. No, it's a different franchise.
That was the closing ceremony of Celebration Chicago that they announced it.
Oh,
and then
more stuff came out. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so
But
I
all
mean,
very
they
cryptic until
obviously
last year sometime.
Yeah, very cryptic. They've billed this as something big, which it is. It's reasonably big now, especially in terms of the novels and the young adult stuff and the comics and all that. There's still some millings about, nothing official, that it may lead to an animated series, which I think that it will.
No. That is official now.
I think that would give
That is official now. The Acolyte is an animated series.
Yeah. The Acolyte is from
Yep,
the Higher
as
Republic.
of the investors call.
Yes,
Everybody
it is.
forgets about the Acolyte because Rangers of the New Republic and
forgot
Lando and Rogue Squadron.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Rogue,
Thank you. Yeah. I forgot.
So what we're talking about is the High Republic. This goes YouTube event tomorrow, which is the 4th.
Also
January,
StarWars.com.
Yep. Oh, that's
so
right.
that's noon Eastern time. It's 9 p.m. Pacific. Or 9 a.m. I'm sorry. 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Pacific. Yeah. Well, they delay it for the East Coasters because, they don't get up out of bed as early in the morning as we do. So they got to wait.
Some of us have been at work for like 5 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
True.
So, and this is all dealing with some stuff that's starting to release on the very next day, Tuesday, the 5th. Is when the first of these novels comes out. We get Charles Soule's novel comes out, right?
Yes. Light of the Jedi.
Light of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I have that in pre-order for Audible. I'll be listening to that on the way into work on Tuesday morning.
I went on a car trip, and I normally listen to audiobooks on car trips, and I just finished Ready Player 2, and I was about to start a new one, and I thought, nope. Because if I start one now, it's going to be an eternity before I can get to the Light of the Jedi. And now, the moment it comes out, I want to start that.
Right. Definitely.
Tom will finish it before all the rest of us because just in case there's a trivia contest a couple days later. How do you get through books that quickly and then also retain? I mean, that Thrawn novel came out like 2 or 3 days before that last trivia competition.
I had no idea. I had not read that, and I knew there would be questions on it, and
there were.
Luckily, they were A/B multiple choice, and I guessed right.
Well, Tom is at work, supposedly studying a legal brief before a trial.
Yeah.
Nope. He's sitting there reading like the latest Thrawn novel, which obviously isn't a bad choice.
No.
At least, for him, but for the poor person he's defending, Tom, buddy.
Well, he does that with the book
we didn't
the book
say
inside of a book. So.
Fine. I know a lot about.
He's up there in court. Well, Your Honor, if you look at the Ascendancy charter here, it says that. Oh wait, shoot, no, wrong thing. Hold on.
Wait.
Yeah. Anyhow, so the Light of the Jedi comes out Tuesday. YouTube event tomorrow, and it's got all 5 authors at it.
Right, for the books awesome. And for the graphic novel stuff too, right? Because we have Claudia Gray and Justina Ireland are doing the first 2 books coming out. No, actually not. They're both coming out tomorrow, Tuesday, right?
Into the Dark, the young adult novel, I don't think comes out Tuesday, does it? It's soon. It's relatively soon, but I think they're spacing them out a little bit.
Yep. I was getting confused on which ones are where. Yep. And Test of Courage, which I've actually already started reading because I got an advanced copy of that, which they embargoed. And, they embargoed that until the 14th
How did you get an
December.
Advanced copy of that, you punk? I mean, my friend.
Wow.
My very good friend.
Wow. I'll tell you later. It was the same way you told me to get it. So,
I guess I need to be less distracted by holiday stuff and get more on the ball here. Okay. Well, you can't. There's an embargo on it, so you can't say.
No, the embargo's been lifted.
Okay, so you can say, was it good, bad, indifferent?
I'm not 100% through it, but I like it.
Yeah, okay.
It's a young adult novel, but like most of the young adult novels we've had
they've
recently,
been
very good.
Yeah.
And it's a cool area that we haven't seen before. So yeah, I'm excited about more of this stuff. Yeah. Let's see here. Who else is in this? Daniel Jose Older. He's doing the IDW publishing stuff. The graphic novel they're coming out with. And Scott Caravan. Kevin Scott. Marvel High Republic, and then of course Charles Soule on the YouTube video. So that should be good. Hopefully they'll be able to release that and watch that later on too, because I won't be able to watch it tomorrow live, unlike some people that work from home. Tim,
I'm off tomorrow. I'll be watching it live.
Great.
It's okay. Maybe we'll have to. Tim, remind me, or you can do it. We'll set up a channel in Discord that's locked just to admins, and we'll do like a live blog in the Discord.
Yeah, cool. Or we could set up something to live blog it to everyone except Lou.
We can literally do that.
That's my vote.
Wow. 2021 hasn't gotten any better from 2020, I tell you that.
Not for some people.
Respect your elders.
It's all a numbers game, Lou. Somebody's got to get the short shrift,
Lou, we wouldn't want to spoil it for you.
Right. That's all it is.
No, thank you.
I'm thinking
that.
About you. I'm thinking about you when I say this. I wouldn't want you accidentally clicking on the channel and saying, well, gee, what new channel is, oh my God, you guys just spoiled it for me. You'd be very upset. You'd be very upset. I would feel responsible.
It's not like it's a trailer for a movie. It's
you don't know. You
Yes,
don't know.
I do.
You don't know what could be in there, the things they could be talking about.
Well, speaking of things we don't know, we had, where was this article from? Alan Dean Foster was talking about the novelization for The Force Awakens.
Cinema Blend.
Things that he had, I guess, had taken out of his first draft of the story, or at least one of the drafts of the story, because he wrote the novelization for The Force Awakens. And again, this kind of goes back to our discussion we've had time and time again about lack of planning, I think, for the trilogy in general. And he didn't have many kind words to say about this. You guys have a chance, do you guys have a chance to read this article?
Well, the big thing in this is that he was told kind of later on through the process of writing the novelization to take some things out. And of course, we know that the novelizations usually are based upon earlier versions of the script. And, you know, they try to release the novelization somewhere on or about when the movie releases. And of course, with kind of the production time having some obvious overlap with the author's writing time, those scripts are going to change a little bit, you know, through filming. Things are going to get dropped, things are going to get edited. So what we end up with in a novelization is not 100% what we see on the screen. And so it seems pretty clear, because he wouldn't just be making up something to put into the novelization. So some earlier version of The Force Awakens had in it more of a relationship forming between Finn and Rey. Seems to be the intonation here is that it kind of more of an intimate type of relationship forming between the two of them. And then at some point in a later draft, he was actually asked to pull that material out of there. So I mean, I will take blame for this part in the show notes. So we have that, and you know, certainly looking for what the thoughts are that you guys have on that in terms of that relationship kind of being downplayed or taken out. But then we also know that we had a lot of discussion a few months ago about how much Finn's story seemed to diminish as we went on through the movies. And had this relationship between he and Rey actually grown, would Finn have been kind of sidelined as much as he was?
You know, if you look back at the original trilogy, it's obviously Luke's story. And they never tried to bill it as Han's story or Leia's story. And it didn't really dive as heavily into those characters until Empire. And when it did, you had a pretty solid blend of all of that. You had Act 1 was both of them on Hoth, both storylines, kind of Luke and then Han and Leia. And then Act 2, they split up.
And Luke kissed his sister.
Right. Because, I mean, who doesn't? And then, then in the second act, they split, but there's a pretty good proportion of screen time given to both. And then in the third act, it's arguably more Luke and Vader than Han, Leia, and Lando, but there's still a good amount of it. And then in Return of the Jedi, we get the same thing. They're all together at Jabba's palace. When they separate, it feels like it's a brief segue, and then they're kind of, even though they're not all together at the end, they're all together but separate, but still in the same battle. The sequel trilogy, and you know, you can make similar parallels with the prequel trilogy too. You've got Anakin and Obi-Wan. They're together, they split up, they get equal screen time, they come back together. The sequel trilogy, Finn was introduced in episode 7 as if he were a main character. In fact, there was a whole thing about they didn't want any promotional material shown with Rey having the lightsaber because they wanted that to be a big surprise. So they really kind of sold Finn as a main character, and then he didn't get a lot of screen time from that point on. They separated the characters with the second movie. They never really brought him back together. And so there's so much of the driving plot was Rey, and that is similar to the original trilogy. But you didn't get, I mean, every single scene in The Rise of Skywalker that had Poe and Finn felt like just afterthought.
Yeah.
And less so in The Last Jedi, but The Last Jedi, the scenes they did have, it didn't feel like afterthought. It felt intentional, but it kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they dropped a couple of little breadcrumbs about it, it was apparently supposed to be a lot more clear that Finn did have, in fact, some measure of Force sensitivity.
Yeah, they needed to be more clear about that, I think.
Yeah, they were so freaking vague about that, especially in Episode 9. It's like, okay, right. Episode 7, he could wield the lightsaber. We know that it's not just, Force users that can wield the lightsaber. So maybe yes, maybe no.
Han wielded
Episode
a lightsaber
9,
against a dying animal, but still.
Well, he just carved up a turkey.
Well,
I mean, it wasn't like he did.
But Finn had combat experience, and probably, the Empire had those things that Tom will know what they're called, with the little spinny baton things that the traitor guy in Episode 7.
Oh, the Z6 riot.
See, there you go. Yeah. What Tom said. Yeah. So,
which is so infinitely better than the Z4.
Oh, that Z4 used to break all the time, and
exactly.
Short circuit.
You don't want to try to quell a riot with the Z4.
But, so Finn had combat experience.
The battery on the Z4 would last 3 minutes.
No, you'd get one rioter, and then you're
and the Wi-Fi sucked on it. It had 802.11a, which, I mean, who even uses that anymore, really? I mean, come on, you couldn't get it to say firmware updates were a nightmare. Just But so Finn had combat experience, though. So, but the thing about the Rey and Finn thing is, my take on it is this: I don't need to see romance in Star Wars. If I do see it, it needs to develop naturally, and it needs to somehow fit the story. With Anakin and Padme, it was obviously a plot point, like it was important. With Han and Leia, it felt natural, and it felt like something that supplemented the main story really well. It supported it well. It flowed. I really think, and there were a lot of people shipping, all kinds of people in the sequel trilogy, and I thought, we don't need it. There's so much to cover. It's already going to be so dense. Mm-hmm. We don't need that to be a thing. And with Rey having this singular focus of her identity, I would not have wanted to see Luke in a romance, because the same thing. The story is about his journey, and if he's also journeying off in this direction at the same time, you're splitting his focus, and that's not as good for storytelling. Rey,
I shrug at this whole thing. I think I question the motive in Alan Dean Foster in releasing this. I have to believe on some level, and I'm sympathetic to the guy, because he's getting bent over the barrel by Disney on his royalties that he rightfully should be paid for. But I wonder whether the motive in bringing this up right now is because the story, he sort of lost traction on the story with his royalties battle, and this is another way to sort of gin up some discussion,
that
throw
could
some
be
dirt, and get people sort of swinging in his favor. I mean, I don't want to cast any ill will toward the man. But at the same time, I sort of shrug at this. The problem that he highlights, and I think this is why I think it was intentionally timed to try to help his battle for royalties. He knows he had no hand in the creation of those. I mean, he's sort of interpreting the script and using that as a heavy guide rail. But there's nothing in any novelization that is so far off the beaten path from what the creators intended that somehow that novelization author has their own completely independent stamp on this. I think he did this to sort of throw dirt on the overall creators and sort of the folks steering the ship. And I sort of shrug. I'm, at this point, we've spilled so much ink has been spilled over the problems with the sequel trilogy. So many minutes of podcasts have been spent on this sort of thing. Did I want to see more Finn? Absolutely. My favorite part of Rise of Skywalker was the parts where the crew is all back together. The new characters are all back together. They're interacting, and sort of the creators are letting them stretch their legs and doing the sort of things that we got to see Han, Luke, and Leia do in the original.
That's when it felt like Star Wars.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah. And
more Finn and more Phasma.
Yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed that we didn't get to see more Finn. I completely agree with the decision to sort of tamp down on the romance between him and Rey, because I think that strong bond of friendship that it morphed into was just way more compelling to me.
Well, and that's something. That's a whole other point too. Is that it's nice to get to see two prominent characters who, I mean, traditionally male and female, who don't have to get into a romance. You can have an actual platonic, really, really close, strong friendship, and it not have to turn into something sexual or romantic, or like, that's okay. I have female friends. I have no romantic interest in them, and yet we can be really close friends. That's a real thing that happens in life, and it so rarely happens in film.
You don't have to have the capital L love to have a compelling story between two characters. Right. You can have the little L love, and I think that's exactly what Finn and Rey developed. The scene where they're on Kef Bir and Rey runs off with the skimmer, and you see Finn kind of run to the cliff's edge and look out through the macro binoculars, and then he decides to recklessly go out as well after her. Like, that's little L love. That's still a powerful bond. Like, they don't have to have a sexual interest in each other to have that be compelling. That scene on the wreckage as they're fighting and she just knocks him back. That's awesome. That's forever. That will forever be one of my favorite fight scenes in all of Star Wars. So you know, I just wish they would have explored more of his character, his motivations. You know, he's you know, the only character we've seen that throws off the reins of the First Order and decides to you know, just abandon his post, and I think that was worth exploring more, and we just didn't.
It's something we hadn't seen before in any of Star Wars. That's a big. Listen, you know, the thing is though, like,
no, we did with Han. I mean,
didn't see
Han
it.
was the same thing. He went to the right. We didn't.
We knew it happened.
He went to the academy, and he.
But it was only ever really explained in Legends. It was extracurricular content.
He fought for the glory of the Empire as a member of the 224th.
Moving along.
A mud trooper.
That's
noble service.
I know. But I guess to me, back to what you kind of said, Tom, it's I guess when I was growing up, I was really bitter that they killed Boba Fett off at the beginning of Return of the Jedi. There was a lot of what could have been in my head, but I guess it never really clouded my enjoyment of Star Wars. And I feel like over the last several years, we've all been on this kick of, or at least a lot of people have been, about, well, we should have got this instead. And, you know, the whole not my Star Wars thing. There's this not my blank movement. And I mean, come on, get over it. It's I mean, we talk a lot about Star Wars. We're invested in Star Wars, but it's movies, guys, come on. And it's TV shows, it's fiction. And that's important, and we love it, and that's why we're here. But also, like, really get over it. None of us are completely happy with the sequel trilogy, but like Luke keeps saying, it's maybe not the Star Wars we wanted, it's the Star Wars we got. And it can be fun to go and see, oh, you know, we could have gotten this. It might have been like that. But to really emotionally invest in a lot of that is going to bring you nothing but strife and heartache, because that's just simply not going to happen. If you're exploring it as a curiosity, kind of looking at the original script for A New Hope, which was radically different, you know, the adventures of Luke Starkiller and like all of the weird different things that they eventually did a comic book series of. That's a curiosity. That's fine. But to get anger and hatred and vitriol about this, I mean, you're you're destroying yourself from the inside out. And I guess for me personally, and what I'd like to pass on to other Star Wars fans out there, and also Random Chatter and just anything in general for 2021, listen, between Star Wars, COVID, politics, we've gotten such this rift, this dichotomy. You have to join a side. You have to subscribe to everything that side believes in. and you have to get up to the front lines and fight, or else there's something wrong with you. Let's just forgive everybody, get past it, put the drama aside. That was in 2020. And I know it's easy to do the whole clean slate thing at the beginning of a new year, but really, like, let's take this moment to really consciously think about the fact that there's a lot of internet drama that doesn't need to happen. And when there is drama, everybody jumps on both sides of it, and it becomes a war over, it's a mountain out of a molehill situation. Let's just get back to enjoying things. And if there's something you don't enjoy, there's nothing wrong with that. Set it aside. Enjoy the other stuff.
There's a ton of, and to that point, there's a ton of other stuff coming. This
is going to be a great year.
Leave this stuff on the shelf forever. You can never click on whatever you pick your movie. The Force Awakens, Last Jedi,
don't ever
Rise
watch
of
it
Skywalker.
again.
You can never click on that again. And you will be inundated in the next few years with Star Wars. You'll have so much Star Wars, it's coming out of your ears. You'll forget that these movies ever existed. And they don't have to change your love of the franchise. They don't have to change the way you go back and watch and enjoy the movies that you do truly love. Force Awakens, the sequel trilogy does not change in any negative way the way I go back and watch any of the original trilogy movies. It just doesn't. Whether it's especially the stuff that I dislike from the sequel trilogy, that fire will always burn bright in my heart. And I think the folks that let it tarnish their enjoyment of something that in most cases we grew up loving, I think you got to take a step back and just say, hang on, I'm fighting against myself here. And if nothing else, just rewatch The Mandalorian, go back to the tried and true stuff that you do love, and look forward to the stuff that you're excited about.
I want to
watch the stuff you're excited about and watch stuff you enjoyed. Don't rewatch the stuff that you didn't enjoy.
I'm going to take something.
I mean, is it really that important to people to be negative and hateful and spiteful?
That's the other thing. It's just,
and why?
I don't know. Maybe my life is just really exhausting right now. I just don't have the energy to be that hateful all the time. That's a lot of work. I want to take something real quick that Fetmatic said in the chat room and completely twist it. Sorry, dude. But I think I'm staying true to your point. Okay. Have any of you guys ever had, even if it was as a little kid, we just had Christmas or whatever it is you guys out there celebrate. Did you ever get disappointed after you opened all your presents that, there was stuff you wanted and you just kind of disappointed?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I for a while on one Christmas morning, I really was. I mean, there was this thing that I wanted, Red Ryder BB gun, and I'd opened up all my presents, and I didn't get it, and I was really kind of.
We're not going to get copyright infringement.
I got, but
take down notices.
You loved that pink cosplay you had. I heard.
Yeah,
I did.
Well, you're
awesome.
liable to get an ocular injury.
Yeah, that's true. my point is this: why were you disappointed? Because you went into Christmas morning and you already had built up in your head expectations of how it was going to be. It was going to be the most amazing Christmas ever. It was going to be awesome. You're going to open up your presents. You were going to have everything you ever wanted. And you didn't. Mm-hmm. You had expectations of things. You didn't get it. But here's what did happen that Christmas. You went into that Christmas morning without the things that you got. You were given gifts by people who took time out to consider that they wanted to get you gifts, to get you something, to do something special for you. And you got those gifts, and those are gifts you didn't have that morning.
Mm-hmm.
So
true.
We need to drop the expectations. There's no way around this for the sequel trilogy. We talked about this. I mean, it was just, they painted themselves in a corner by even doing it at all. We get it. But going forward, stop going into Star Wars with expectations. So this new High Republic stuff, I've got no expectations one way or the other. It's prequel stuff. It's historical stuff. So I'm already predisposed to not be as interested in it as future stuff, but I'm also accepting it's probably going to be really good. So I'm looking forward to it, but I've got my expectations as neutral as possible. I think we need to go back to doing that. Everything we get from Star Wars is a gift, and some gifts you're like, oh, gee, thanks. And you set on a shelf and you never use again. And if for some of you, Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker are like that, okay. You be you. You be your own fan. You don't have to be my type of fan. You don't have to be Tim's type of fan. or any other YouTubers or podcasters out there. You define your own fandom. But what we get are gifts, and we've got a lot of gifts coming over 2021, a lot of good stuff to look forward to. And yeah, I'm excited, but let's go into 2021 in that regard. Let's drop the internet drama, drop the hatred, get back to a point where we can come together as fans. We've already got enough stuff splitting everybody apart, right? Let's find the common interests and celebrate those. Let's try to keep it positive. And whether it's, there were drama with Pedro Pascal and Gina Carano and Rosario Dawson and Pablo Hidalgo and like everybody else on the internet, regardless of what side you take on it. You know, you're getting he said, she said stuff half the time. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
Not that issues don't matter, but a lot of the times we're not actually getting the full story on the issues. So
True.
And you know, I think frequently, and that's all very well said, Eric. And I think the thing that I always have to check myself on is where am I getting this information? You know, does the source of this information have something to gain by making me feel a certain way? Whether that's selling hard a theory, whether that's you know, predicting a leak or something like that, a plot point that they have a source on, or you know, you pick your flavor of YouTube channel or Twitter account with folks to follow. Just always remember that, you know, to check that as you mull these things over in your brain. Is the person that's out there really looking out for my best? Is it in my best interest as a fan to consume this sort of stuff? Because I will be the first to admit that going into Rise of Skywalker, I fell into that trap. I had avoided it in Last Jedi and Force Awakens, but I was full on, you know, consuming rumors and all sorts of stuff that I've never done before, and it affected my expectations. And I was that kid on Christmas morning in parts of the movie, and walked away from it for the first time with a less than good taste in my mouth. And that stunk. It stunk to go back on Twitter and engage with other folks, to engage with you guys after watching that movie and not having that normal, like really excited, I just watched new Star Wars feeling from it. And I never want that again. And I wish that on nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Our first show of 2021.
We ended on a light note.
We did.
We ended on a heavy but optimistic note. We're gonna move forward, and we're going to look at what we're gaining, what we have to look forward to, and it's a good thing. It's going to be a good year. It's going to be a better year than 2020. It's not going to be perfect. Again, don't expect it to be perfect, but it's going to be good.
There you go. So, Eric, take us out.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Echo Base. We're glad you're here. We're happy to be starting a new year with you guys. If you haven't checked out the other audio podcasts we have, go to randomchatter.com. If you'd like to check out our YouTube shows, maybe you're listening to this right now via audio, go to randomchatter.com/YouTube. And hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you like the show. Watch the other stuff we have here. At the end of this episode, there should be a little pop-up thing that gives you like the playlist and another suggested video. Hang out with us. Watch other stuff. If you'd like to hang out in the chat room, we stream every Sunday night, almost every Sunday night. There are exceptions, but Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. We do Echo Base, and then we do a couple of episodes of Random Chatter. So if you're in the chat room now, we're going to kill this stream and start a new one. Stand by. And what else? There's a lot of stuff. If you go to randomchatter.com/ and then type something in, there's cool stuff, right? It's like almost like a little Easter egg system. So you got /YouTube, you've got /Discord, which we already talked about. That's a great place to go, and they have all kinds of different conversations with other audience members and with us, the staff. There's /Patreon, where you can actually become a member of Random Chatter. We're a nonprofit organization. And so we're not pocketing any of the support we get from you guys. It goes right back into the network. And that makes you a member of Random Chatter, even just $1 a month. So there's that. There's that /store. You can get t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, etc. And I don't know. I feel like I'm forgetting something else, but I'd say
free money where we
where Lou will personally mail you. No, I better not say that because then we might be legally. We have to check with our legal consultant over here first. But that's going to do it for this episode. Stand by for some more great content from Random Chatter here in just a moment, and we will see you again soon.